Are you struggling to keep yourself motivated as you deal with any kind of health challenges or any kind of chronic illness? Do you struggle to make better dietary choices? Maybe eat healthier, sleep on time, move your body on a regular basis. If any of these resonate with you, then you're in the right place, because for many of us, what happens is that when we are dealing with any kind of these kind of issues, we tend to criticize ourselves, and as a result, we don't see the health improvements that we would want. So my name is Anindita, and I am a functional medicine certified health coach, and today I'm going to talk to you about a missing piece in your healing journey, and for most of us, that is self-care. I remember working with Archana a few years ago, and this was a part of the membership program that I was hosting at that time. It was called Peaceful Mind, Healthy Body, and it was more on the realm of emotional health. Now I have moved towards more of it's a mix of two, and I'm going to talk about that as well. So stay on till the end, where I'm going to share with you an exciting opportunity to work with me. So at the end of 3 months of working with Archana, this is what she had to say, and I quote: "Until the membership, self-care as a concept was completely alien to me. I learned through baby steps how to inculcate it into my daily life, so much so today that I have been able to make it my own. For me, these past few months of self-discovery has been refreshing and rewarding." So this is what Archana shared with me, and in fact, I interact with all my clients for that matter. So I was interacting with her a couple of weeks ago, and she's been able to maintain and sustain a lot of the changes that she had made, say 3 years ago, right? So that's the beauty of making self-care a regular part of your healing process, so that it becomes a habit. And it's equally rewarding for me as much as it's for my clients to see the kind of transformation, physical, emotional, and spiritual, that is possible when we do this. Because the reason that so many people are struggling to see long-term and sustainable health, even when they are practicing, using a functional medicine principle to do that, addressing the root causes, making dietary changes, changing their lifestyle, is because often self-care as a concept is completely alien to them, right? It doesn't form a part of the healing process. I like to call this entire process a journey. It helps us to approach it in a much more gentler, more compassionate, and with a more long-term kind of an approach. And self-care certainly needs to be a part of that. So if that is missing from your life, then this is maybe the reason why you're stuck and why you're not seeing the results today. But let me start with mentioning what self-care is not, right? Self-care is not selfish. It is not an indulgence. It is certainly not a luxury, and it is not time-consuming, right? Let me just go through these one by one very quickly before I move on. Time-consuming, I want to start first. One of the most common excuses that I hear is that I don't have time for myself. I can't seem to take out time. See, all of us have 24 hours in a day, right? We are not going to get a second more or a second less. So prioritizing self-care is where we often go wrong. So in fact, and the second thing is that we don't need several hours or even 45 minutes or an hour or a 30-minute kind of a self-care routine. If we are struggling with the autoimmune flare or any kind of health challenge, then we can simply take a few minutes, maybe every few hours or every couple of hours or every hour, to practice some kind of breathing, maybe a bit of journaling, maybe even meditation, moving our bodies. There's so many ways, beautiful ways to incorporate self-care into a daily practice, right? Daily routine. So that's the thing. So it's not certainly time consuming. It's not a luxury. It's not something that we may do. We have to spend a lot of money on it, or we can do when we have this or have that. As I said, whatever I mentioned right now doesn't need any financial resources. It's all available to you. It's not an indulgence. It's a necessity, right? If you want to stay well, if you're dealing with any kind of illness and you want to get better, if you want to get well and then stable, self-care has to form a part of your healing journey, right? There is no other way around it. And of course, last but not the least, self-care is certainly not selfish, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. And I'm going to talk about that right now, actually. So one of the most common reasons that we believe we don't do this is because we believe that taking care of ourselves is a selfish act. Women more so than men tend to believe in this myth, and as a result, they suffer from different issues, different challenges. And if you're already having some kind of health issue, your life is difficult and challenging as it is right now, right? And you are already maybe making certain dietary changes, you're trying different medications, you're going from one doctor to another. Maybe you're trying to get a diagnosis and you don't have that yet. There's so many things which are going on. So many balls are up in the air. You are doing this in any case. And then without having a regular self-care practice, without having this tool in your toolkit, as I like to call it, it is very easy to go off track whenever certain obstacles come our way, right? There's so many ups and downs that we go through when we are trying to get better, right? When we are trying to get well, when we are trying to see better health outcomes, right? There's so many ups and downs. So it's not a matter of having a smooth sailing. We will be dealing with these issues. There will be flares coming up. There might be something that goes wrong, a medication that has a severe side effect. There's so many reasons that we face these kind of challenges, right? So without learning how to integrate and make self-care an important part of your life, you'll be floundering, and you may be stuck for a very long time at the very least. And yet, even after this kind of realization, self-care can often incorporating a self-care practice into your daily life can often be very challenging, and quite challenging. And I'm going to make it a bit easy for you because I'm going to share a free 5-day challenge to help you implement this, to help you understand how you can do this. So hang on till the end. So one reason that you might be finding incorporating any kind of self-care practice in your daily routine difficult is because you may be approaching this entire process from a place of lack. What do I mean by a place of lack? I mean that it's possibly from a place of self-neglect, deprivation kind of approach, and that keeps us from seeing the results that we want because we are constantly criticizing ourselves and, of course, as I mentioned, neglecting. And we do that in many different ways. So I teach my clients the way to deal with this, and I have found that it works really well in my own practice, and I have been coaching for the past more than 5 years now. So I teach my clients the very important concepts of having an inner coach rather than just having an inner critic. So what do I mean by an inner coach? I'm just going to share a few phrases to help you understand what is an inner coach vis-a-vis what is an inner critic. So an inner critic will be weakness focused, right? Just focusing on what are the things that you're not good at. Whereas an inner coach will be focused on your strengths, right? What are the things that, is the best part of you? An inner critic will be, of course, problem oriented. What are the issues that you're having? What are the areas that need to be, improved upon? Only that, right? Again, coming from a place of lack, whereas an inner coach will be solution oriented. Like we know these are the issues, how do we solve them? Inner critic is all about blaming and judging, whereas inner coach is about learning, right? Learning from the mistakes, trying to understand what's going on, being a bit curious. Because inner critic is about knowing it already. I already have tried everything. I know everything. I've tried all the diets. I have tried to make these changes. Nothing has happened. No improvement. So I know. So there's nothing else to do. Whereas an inner coach will be more curious, right? What if I do it this way? What if I tweak this part of and what if I, maybe get the help of a coach for that matter, right? So this is, of course, I'm talking about your own thoughts. But this is a very important part, to move you from a place of lack to a place of abundance, right? So I'm talking about inner coach and inner critic. So inner critic is, of course, is an either or thinking. So either I can have this or I can have that, right? So again, it keeps us stuck. Whereas an inner coach looks for intent. Inner coach looks is talking about yes and, right? So yes, I can do this, and this is what's going to happen. So there's the whole approach is very different. So the reason I'm talking so much about this is because by learning to accept your body the way it is right now, learning to accept yourself, all the warts, all the flaws, all the imperfections, it is possible for you to find a way to move forward, right? This is one major area that I find most people remain stuck when they are facing, whether they're facing health issues or not, right? That's true for, I think, all of us. So we need to find a way to motivate ourselves, and moving from from an inner critic to an inner coach is really helpful. And one example of this activity that I teach my clients and I do with my clients, and again, it sort of brings out this whole concept that I'm explaining to you, is by treating your body as a friend, right? I ask them to think of their body as they would of a friend who is in need. How would they talk to that friend? How would they deal with the friend? How would they treat that friend? And then imagining, and actually doing the same for their own bodies, right? That this is a really eye-opening exercise, and it makes a huge difference in their health outcomes. Another reason that you might be struggling to incorporate, self-care practice, even after you know that this is an important missing piece, is that, you don't have healthy boundaries. I have talked about this before, but it's so important that I keep coming back to this again and again. And if you're running on, if you're dealing with any kind of health issues, this is even more important, because you may be running on empty, right? If you're not, and especially for women, we take care of our families, of our children, of the house, of the logistics, everything, of our work, and then of course of our own health. So having healthy boundaries becomes really important. And as natural caregivers, lot of times we end up overgiving of ourselves by not taking the time to rest and recharge. And in fact, this, even after knowing all of this, and I'm trying to explain this to you, this forms a big part of my own coaching program. I was also, I also fell prey to this to some extent last year, when I did not take care of my own health the way I needed to at that time, and I did pay a price, and I learned a lesson. So this is an ongoing process for all of us, right? It's not whether it's for you or for anybody else. But creating healthy boundaries protects you from emotional harm and from burnout, because when you learn how to treat yourself as the most important person in your world, not your child, but yourself, not anyone else, it allows you to develop an amazing ability to know yourself, to like yourself, to trust yourself, your body, so that you can take care of your health in the best way possible. And when you start treating yourself in this manner, you will find that you're able to take better care of your family, of your children, and whoever else you love. And finally, a third reason that we often find that even when we know that we are lacking self-care in our healing journey, and we struggle to incorporate that, is we are not used to taking these small baby steps, right? We need to see the entire staircase before we start, so that we know exactly where we are heading and what we are doing. And even if you can see the entire staircase in front of you, even if you're trying something new and you know exactly what route you need to take, even then, a lot of times trying to take all the steps, like 20 steps at the same time, can often be a recipe for overwhelm. This is again something that I find is very common, especially in the realm of functional medicine, because in functional medicine, you're being asked to make changes to your diet, make changes to your lifestyle, make changes to your mindset, and so many areas of your life that you need to make changes to, so that you can actually have better health outcomes, reverse your symptoms. So, there are a lot of changes that are involved. They involve creating new habits. And if you try and do too many things at the same time without knowing what to prioritize, it can become overwhelming and again, sort of frustrate us and keep us stuck. So in my practice, I believe that this is the primary reason why so many people fail to stay on track when they're trying to get better. So having a step-by-step process is key here. So knowing that this is the first step, then that's the second step, then the third step, and just going step by step allows you to stop trying to visualize all the things that you need to do, especially if the goals are huge and it's like a huge mountain in front of you. So rather than looking at the entire mountain and getting scared, fear is a part of this. Of course, when you're doing something which is important, fear does form a part of it, but we need not let it stop us from what we need to do. Rather, looking at the next step and the next step and the next steps allows us to keep moving forward. So in my own practice, I take my clients through a unique 3-part framework. So it's a complete step-by-step process which is based on 3 pillars. So one pillar is simplify, where I do just this. I simplify the whole health creation process for them. And the second pillar is connect. So it allows my clients to connect with themselves, with their bodies, connect, what's going on, one part of their healing to another part of their healing process. So it allows to see the whole picture with much more clarity. And of course, the last but not the least, sustain. Because even after doing all of this, it is important to sustain the improvements that you see. So that forms another part of the framework. So these 3 pillars put together have made all the difference for my clients. And I want to offer you a taste of this. I have an upcoming free challenge coming up. It is called Self-Care for Autoimmune Flare, starting on the 7th of February, Tuesday. Which is next week. The link is in the bio. This challenge will help you to cultivate awareness of your own body and give you some ideas to support it when you're trying to cope with any kind of autoimmune flare, any kind of, or any other kind of illness for that matter. So when you're going through a particularly challenging time, it is really difficult to take out the time and practice, any kind of self-care. So I have made it as easy as possible for you to do that, and it is just going to help you to slow down and start listening to your body so that you can make this a part. So this is just to give you a taste, and you will be getting a free workbook along with it. Just click on the link in bio and sign up for the challenge. I will be coming live every day for 5 days from the 7th onwards, right here at 2:30 p.m. and sharing some key insights each day for each task to help you implement it. I'll see you soon.